The Ricard Roeper Show is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. The digital landscape is changing rapidly, and to compete in today's online business environment, you need that experienced partner. Since 1995, AmericanEagle.com has partnered with companies of all sizes, offering web design, web development, e-commerce, mobile apps, and digital marketing. All of this to drive your overall business's success, because they believe that today's online world is your online opportunity. Visit AmericanEagle.com to get started today. AmericanEagle.com. That is AmericanEagle.com. Hello, everybody. I've been gone for, I guess, a couple of weeks now. Might still hear a little raspiness in my voice. I lost my voice completely. At first, I thought I had the COVID. I haven't had the COVID. I've been very, very lucky. But it was some sort of flu fever bullshit, temperature 101. Nobody cares about when you're sick. You're sick. You're sick. They feel bad and they go feel better. And I go, yes, I will. I will feel better. But the fallout, if you will, was I just lost my voice. So for one moment, I would sound like Sam Elliott, as a veteran, I'm already insured. And then I would sound like Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny. And there's still a little bit of that. I apologize for that, because I hate when people sound all sick and weather beaten. But we got to get to Oscar predictions. A couple of quick things. Yeah, so if you do lose your voice, and this did help a lot, name drop alert, my good friend Richard Marx, the great singer-songwriter, years ago shared with me the Marx Teeny. That's his cocktail for soothing your vocal cords. Are you ready? Here's the ingredient. And actually, he got it from Sheila E., who probably got it from Prince. So let's just say it comes from Prince. That sounds better. But it's Richard Marx's his Marx Teeny. So what you do is you get a teaspoon of crushed powdered ginger, wonderful exotic dancer in the 70s. Cayenne pepper, that's the key. And then honey and lemon juice, a tablespoon of each of those. And you mix it with the hottest possible water you can, boiling hot water. And you stir it up. And believe it or not, it doesn't taste bad. You can feel that cayenne pepper kind of cutting through your vote, like kind of help clear out your system. But it doesn't taste bad. And then, of course, my other drink of choice when I've got a cold or trying to fix the vocal cords is the classic Irish cure, as we call it. Jameson whiskey, brown sugar, a little bit of lemon, 3 cloves, a little brown sugar, and you do the same thing. You put the cloves actually in the slice of lemon. That's the key. And mix it all up with hot water. And it's kind of a hot toddy, I guess, is what it is. All right, so there you go. I wish you all the best of luck. A couple quick things. I'm recording this on the morning of Monday, February 17th. We had the Saturday Night Live, the twin specials. They had the music special, I think it was Friday night. And then they had the live show Sunday night, which not Saturday night, Sunday night, live from New York. 3-hour extravaganza. I thought they did a great job. First, the music special was great. And they've done these anniversary specials. They had famously did it for the 40th anniversary. And, it's always this kind of, it's not easy to do a show when you have an abundance, too much talent. So they try to recognize as many regulars as possible, returning greats, everybody from, Martin Short and Eddie Murphy and multiple times host Steve Martin. And people always think that he was on the show. He was just always a host. He was never a member of an ensemble. And going all the way back. And then, you get your Will Ferrell and your Amy Poehler. I thought they did a good job because, you have to do the clips showing some of the great skits. You got to do some callbacks, and then you got to actually be funny, and do a fresh take on a familiar skit. And Adam Sandler did a song, and Andy Samberg did a musical short about how everybody gets anxiety who's ever been on SNL. I give him a big double thumbs up for the special. I thought they did a great job. And you can't go wrong ending with Sir Paul McCartney, right? Man, oh man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Paul McCartney.
Once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. Now sleep, pretty darling, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby.
They also had the NBA All-Star Weekend And as a piece of entertainment, it's kind of interesting because they have the skills challenge. And they got the dude that wins the dunk contest every year that nobody heard of except for when he does the dunk contest, right? So it's more like a magic show than back in the day where they don't really get a lot of stars. They don't want to do the dunk contest anymore. So now it's like America's Got Talent, the dunk version. But it's fine, it's fine. It's all fine. And then the games, I don't know what the hell they were doing. They had Team Shaq and Team Candace and this and the first team to four. All I can tell you is this, and of course it's easy to say now, the easiest bet in the world was Steph Curry to win the most valuable player award because it was in his home, his team's home city in San Francisco. So of course the Golden State Warrior, and plus he also hit a hook shot from half court because he's Steph Curry. But they don't know what to do with these All-Star games, man. They had the Pro Bowl a couple of weeks ago, right, where they don't play football anymore. They play like flag football, and again, it's like a skills challenge. Hockey, the All-Star game, it's usually like 15-14 or something like that. I don't think you're allowed to check or, play real hockey. Baseball's the only All-Star game where they still pretty much play baseball. The pitchers try to strike you out. The hitters try to hit the ball. The fielders actually go after the ball. They're not going to have big collisions and stuff, but they hardly do that in regulation ball anymore. So the All-Star game in baseball feels like a real game. The rest of them, I don't know what they're going to do with them. I think, especially with the Pro Bowl, I don't see the point. I don't know if it gets much in terms of ratings. The All-Star game for the NBA, they got to figure something out to incentivize the players because they used to have some pretty cool All-Star games back in the day, pretty competitive, but there you have it. Okay, we're going to go through the Oscar predictions. If you want to, there's a contest my home newspaper, the Chicago Sun-Times, does every year called Beat the Critic. If you just Google or whatever search you use, Gemini, Jerkify, whatever the hell it is, just Google Ricard Roeper, Beat the Critic, and you can enter the contest. But here's the thing, that the winners, you're going to have to be in the Chicago area to win, or at least want to come to the Chicago area, because the deal is every year I fill out my ballot, and then whoever beats me, it's usually more than one person. We draw one winner. Whoever has the most correct guesses, if there's a tie, we draw one person, and they can bring like a half dozen friends, and then we go to a screening, an advanced screening. We talk a lot about how I see the movies in advance, so I can write the reviews and talk to you guys about them. So you get to meet me at like the AMC theaters in downtown Chicago. We talk movies and hang out for like an hour. Drinks on me. Well, they're on the Sun-Times, really. Snacks. And then you get to go in and see an advanced screening. So it's kind of fun if you beat the critic. This year, the winners got to see A Complete Unknown, the Oscar-nominated film with the Oscar-nominated Timothy Chalamet. So it's kind of a fun thing if you want to beat the critic, and it's kind of fun to beat me. So we're going to go through the main categories. I'll give you these are my predictions now, not my preferences, although we'll talk about that. And I'll go through the full Oscar ballot before the podcast comes to a halt. Great to be back with you guys. So the 97th Academy Awards are going to be broadcast live on ABC and Hulu, beamed to more than 200 countries. People talk, does anybody watch the Oscars anymore? Yeah, it was actually in the top 5 non-sports programs last year. It might have been, I don't know if it was number 1 or number 2, but it still gets 20 million plus viewers, and it does get that international audience. They'll hand out the Oscars in 23 categories. They're starting an hour earlier this year. That's 6 p.m. Central. That's 7 p.m. over on the East Coast and 4 p.m. out in LA. And then wherever you might be, you'll figure it out. It is kind of interesting this year. Of course, they're going to be a little bit different. They want to recognize and salute and honor the brave firefighters and the survivors and the first responders, everybody who has worked so diligently in the wake of these, these horrible, horrible, tragic fires that have claimed, I think, close to 100 lives and damaged or destroyed more than 20,000 structures. But we're still going to get the Oscars. I think there's still going to be a red carpet. Conan O'Brien is hosting. He'll have to navigate some tricky waters, but that's almost always the case too. Let's go through the categories, and we do have some pretty tight races. Some years we know for sure, like, okay, it's Oppenheimer's year. Best Picture, I do think The Brutalist is going to win.
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
I'm afraid it is not so simple. There was a war on, and yet many of the sites of my projects had survived. My buildings were devised to endure such erosion of shoreline.
I brought you all out here to join me in looking forward toward the future.
I'm sorry, will you please pass that back?
They do not want us here.
Who do you mean?
The people here, they do not want us here.
Promise you won't betray him.
I promise.
It's not my favorite movie of the year. I thought it was a little self-indulgent with that 3-hour plus running time, even with the intermission. Thank you for the intermission. And I did think the last hour, they pounded home some messaging and some truths about characters that we already knew. To me, that wasn't dramatically that subtle, that's for sure, that effective. But I still think it's going to win. Now, you get 10 nominees. So I think when you talk about Wicked, which is a part 1, or Dune, which is a part 2, they're not going to win Best Picture. I don't think The Substance or Nickel Boys really has a chance. I think Emilia Perez, we know all about the controversies and stuff. I think that's going to work against it. Listen, don't count out Conclave. It's another film that I didn't love. I admired Conclave, the acting, and it's an actor's film. And as always, you got to remember the actors branch is by far the largest voting block for the Academy Awards. And it has this great cast with Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci and Isabella Rossellini. And the production values are incredible because, of course, they didn't actually get permission to film inside the Vatican. You can probably, if you know about the movie, you probably can understand why. So they built these amazing soundstage sets, of the Sistine Chapel, or some like to call it the 16th Chapel. And the Pope's living quarters, all of it just beautifully done. And the costumes, of course, were amazing. The acting was great, but I thought the twist at the end was complete bullshit. And it's a soap opera, but people loved it. A lot of people who see it love it. So I think there's a chance there, but I'm still saying The Brutalist, guys. Best Actress is an interesting category. Demi Moore, Hollywood loves that comeback story, even though she never really disappeared from the scene. It's been 30 years plus since Demi Moore was like one of the top box office attractions in the world with Ghost. And she was in A Few Good Men and Indecent Proposal, and was never really lauded for her acting. A lot of people felt that, she was a little bit stiff sometimes, but she did pour her heart and soul into this role. And it's a commentary on Hollywood and society as a whole, as she plays a 50-year-old in the movie, but she's in her 60s. And it's a great performance in a film I didn't love. I do think she's going to win. I think the only other contender here that really has a chance is Mikey Madison for Honora, which is a great performance and a great film, but she's 25 and the Academy might feel, she'll have other opportunities, while this is probably the best and last chance for Demi Moore. So prediction, Demi Moore.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect. One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself. This is The Substance.
I'm Sue.
You're hired.
Let's go.
People are gonna love that.
Now, for Best Actor, you always got to go with a couple of upsets on your ballot, guys. Just go, because you can't just go completely to form. So even though I think Adrian Brody is probably the favorite, I'm going to go with Timothée Chalamet. He is also a young actor, but he's so likable and so talented. And he's been out there campaigning, but it never feels like shameless campaigning. You know what I mean? Like, he hosts SNL and he's great at that. He goes on College Game Day, and it turns out he's a huge football fan, and he knows football inside out. And he's great. And of course, Hollywood loves biopics about entertainers. I mean, Barbara Streisand, Sissy Spacek, Kate Blanchett, Jamie Foxx, Rami Malek, Renee Zellweger, Reese Witherspoon, Marianne Cotillard. That's just a partial list of actors who have won for playing entertainment figures. So I think Chalamet's got a real chance here. I wouldn't mind if Ray Fiennes won for Conclave, even though I said I didn't love the film, because I love him. He's a great actor, but let's go with Chalamet. Supporting actress, Zoe Saldana has been winning everything for Emilia Perez. I loved her in the film. It's a polarizing movie for its content and because it's a French filmmaker tackling subjects, and it's set in Mexico. And there's all, and we all know about the stuff with, with another nominee here and all these horrific remarks. I don't think any of that should work against Zoe Saldana. And the thing is, Zoe's been in these huge franchises, of course, right? Avatar and Guardians and stuff like that. A lot of motion picture performances that are probably underrated, but she's really good. You know, if you look at something like Out of the Furnace, you know, there's a lot of films. She's so good and very likable. I would love to see her win. I think Ariana Grande has a chance for Wicked, which is really a co-lead role, but she's up for supporting actress. That's how they do these categories. And Isabella Rossellini, she has basically one major scene in Conclave, and sometimes that one scene performance wins in this category. But I think it's going to be Zoe. Supporting actor. Kieran Culkin is going to win for Real Pain. It's his boy. Kieran Culkin is on such a career role between Succession and this film. Jesse Eisenberg, directed this, and the role just made to order. He's playing kind of a variation on him, the kind of Kieran Culkin character, but he's really good. And it's an actor's role. I think there's a chance that Edward Norton does win. He'd be my upset pick. I'm predicting Kieran Culkin, but there's a chance that Edward Norton wins because he's kind of the moral conscience. He plays Pete Seeger in a Complete Unknown. You got that bluegrass banjo style happening. And Edward Norton's a great actor who's been nominated multiple times and has never won. But I think at this point it's going to be Kieran Culkin. Take a quick break and then we're going to run down the entire Oscar ballot. And I'll give you my predictions, guys. All right, we're going to talk about Portillo's. You guys know the drill here. They're known for their famous Chicago hot dogs with all the famous correct Chicago ingredients, right down to that poppy seed bun. But there's so much more. They got great burgers. You can get Italian sausage, Italian beef, amazing French fries. Also some really good salads. Don't shortchange the salads at Portillo's. And then, of course, you top it off with the legendary, the one and only chocolate cake. I know people who order the entire cake for birthdays and other occasions, but you can also get a slice, which will probably last you 2 helpings because it's amazing. And always, of course, you keep the cake at room temperature. That's how they do it at Portillo's. That's how you want to consume it. Now, there are Portillo's in many locations across the country, but you can also order online and ship it via Portillos.com. You can find a location near you, order online. Portillos, Portillos.com, Portillos.com. Okay, we are going to run down. There are 23 categories in the Oscars. There used to be 24, but they combined, I think, when they combined the 2 sound categories, which was kind of strange. But the 23 categories, I will once again say that I think they should expand, believe it or not. And again, no offense to the smaller categories, but I don't think they need to televise all of them. They insist on doing that for short film and animated short and things like that. I think they could handle that in a nice lunch. They do have a lunch for other recognitions and awards. I think in this day and age, it's crazy not to have a stunt Academy Award with all the amazing stunt work that goes out there. I think like they do with SAG and some other things, an ensemble, a cast award would be cool and be a great way for a lot of actors who contribute to the best actor or best supporting actor's performances because they're scene partners with them, but they don't get recognized. So, you could limit it to, let's say, the top 6 on the call sheet or whatever. I think that would be a good idea. Just some ideas to I think, liven up the Oscars, but they're going to do it the same way they always do. Conan's going to come out. He's going to do a monologue. They're not going to do musical numbers. They're going to kind of do behind the scenes, how the songs were made. Okay. I'm sure we'll get the In Memoriam tribute, which is always very, very emotional and very moving. And it also pisses off a few people because they always forget a couple or just, decline to recognize some big names in the business for whatever reason. And then they'll hand out the awards. Okay. So running it down, we went through these, but just to reiterate, these are my predictions. Okay. This is my ballot, guys. Best Picture, The Brutalist. Best Actress, Demi Moore. Best Actor, Timothée Chalamet. Best Supporting Actress, Zoe Saldana. Best Supporting Actor, Kieran Culkin. I think Brady Corbett wins Director for The Brutalist. This could be a situation where the director and the Best Picture don't go hand in hand, but I'm going to go with Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. Animated feature, The Wild Robot. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. I think Amelia Perez wins for International Feature. my personal favorite in this group, actually, maybe my favorite movie of the year altogether, is I'm Still Here. And I would love to see Fernanda Torres win for Best Actress. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Best International Feature, even with all the controversies, it's going to be Emilia Perez. Documentary feature will be No Other Land. Original screenplay, I think this is where Honora gets nominated, or gets not only nominated, but recognized. I think Honora wins for original screenplay. I think Conclave wins for adapted screenplay. Again, I think we're not going to see any film, even though Emilia Perez had all those nominations. I don't think any film is going to win 8 or 9 Oscars. It's going to be maybe 4 or 5 topping the list. And then you're going to see the wealth spread with screenplay and other categories as a way of recognizing some of the other nominees for Best Picture. Cinematography, Dune Part 2 should win, will win. Editing, I think, goes to The Brutalist, even though I think it could have used some more judicious editing. But it is a beautifully edited and shot film. I think Conclave wins for original score. Dune Part 2 wins for sound. El Mal wins for original song. I think Dune Part 2 wins for visual effects. Production design, The Brutalist, which does have incredibly impressive production design. Makeup and hairstyling. Now, you think of Wicked right off the bat, but The Substance, man. Oh my God, the shit they did in The Substance. I think The Substance wins. I think Wicked does win for costume design. Animated short, Wander to Wonder wins animated short. Documentary short goes to I Am Ready, Warden. And live action short, The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. Those are the 23 predictions in the 23 categories. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to be back with another podcast later on this week. We'll get into a bunch of reviews and things happening in the worlds of entertainment and pop culture. Great to talk to you guys again, and we'll talk again soon.